Hello students, this is Diploma C18 curriculum third semester. Subject name is Advanced Surveying and subject code 304C. This contains total 60 periods and marks distributions all you can see in this slide. So in this we actually have different advanced instruments. One of them is theodolite surveying. Basically what is theodolite? A theodolite is a angle measurement instrument used for measuring angles very accurately. So when compared to the compass is also a angle measurement device or instrument in surveying. But when compared to compass, theodolite is more precise or more accurate, and which can also be served as a different purposes. For example, it can also measure vertical angle. So where in compass you don't get directly vertical angles, and even horizontal readings also you cannot find a direct angle between any two. It is always with respect to magnetic meridian in case of compass, but in case of theodolite we can also measure the direct angles, that to a greater accuracy of about 20 seconds. So this is the introduction. So angle measurement instrument, we have been measuring horizontal angles by using compass with respect to a magnetic meridian, which is less accurate in the sense it is actually measures up to, it is a 30 minutes. That is the least count with the compass, prismatic compass. And also it is not possible to measure vertical angles with a compass. So when the objects are considerable distance and situated at considerable elevation or depression, it becomes necessary to measure horizontal and vertical angles more precisely. So these instruments are taken by instrument known as theodolite. So here, why the statement considerable elevation or depression is given? Because theodolite is fitted with a telescope that can be rotated in a vertical plane, so that you can bisect an object which is below your station level, and similarly you can bisect an object which is very higher level than your station level. Whereas with the compass you cannot do it, because there will be an objective vane and eye vane which will be fixed. You can only see through the slit, provided if it is in the almost same level or a little lower or higher with respect to your compass instrument top level. Whereas in theodolite, as you can tilt the telescope, you can see the bottommost object and top level object even when they are situated at a higher level differences. That is why it is given there. Yeah, and also written more precisely, as I told you, it gives around about 20 seconds, and some more modern instruments may also give 10 seconds accuracy. Yeah, what is theodolite surveying? As if you know, what is a theodolite? Theodolite is an angle measurement instrument specially suited for the precise readings, that is more accurate reading. And when the surveying is done with the help of a theodolite instrument, it is called a theodolite surveying. Right, it is written there, the system of surveying in which angles were measured with the help of theodolite, it is called theodolite surveying. There is a classification of theodolites. Theodolites may be classified based on its telescope rotation, that is transit theodolites and non-transit theodolites. What is transiting actually? So in simply you can understand, transit theodolite means a theodolite in which telescope can be rotated about its horizontal axis in complete revolution, that is about 360 degrees. When the telescope is able to rotate complete, it is called a transit theodolite. And non-transit theodolites are those theodolites in which telescope cannot be rotated about complete revolution. And transit theodolites are the latest one, and earlier we used to have non-transit theodolites, they are obsolete now. And based on angle measurement, we have vernier theodolites, micrometer theodolites, and electronic digital theodolites. What is vernier theodolite? Basically, vernier scales also there. You will find that the study of engineering drawing how to construct a vernier scale. What is Vernier's principle actually? One main scale division can be divided into n number of Vernier scale divisions. Then least count is equal to 1 by nth of main scale reading. That is the main idea. So here you can divide one digit or one division of main scale into a number of parts, and thereby you can convert it into a least count. Yeah. So here a vernier will be provided to read more precisely, whereas in micrometer theodolites a separate setup called micrometer is fitted with the theodolites. The third one, electronic digital theodolite. So here by electronic means directly there will be a display, and in that display directly fraction of reading, that is directly to a second, will be displayed on the screen. That is the criteria. Right, as I said, transit theodolite. A theodolite is called as a transit theodolite when its telescope can be translated, that is, it can be revolved through a complete revolution about its horizontal axis in the vertical plane. Whereas in non-transit type, telescope cannot be transited and they are inferior in utility and they now become obsolete. Yes, what is vernier theodolite? For reading a graduated circle, if verniers are used, theodolite is called vernier theodolite, whereas micrometer is provided to read the graduation circle, the same is called micrometer theodolite. Reading directly provided as a digital number in electronic distance measuring attached with it is called okay. So here electronic theodolite is different and total station is different. You can come across total station at the later stages, maybe in next semester. The total station is an advanced instrument which is fitted with which is actually is a combination of a digital theodolite with a EDM, electronic distance measuring device. Anyhow, that will be going to discuss in detail in the total station topic. And here vernier type theodolites are commonly used, whereas micrometer is obsolete now. The size of theodolite. A theodolite is designated by its diameter of the graduated circle on the lower plate. And you will have two plates in a theodolite, lower plate and upper plate. In the lower plate, one complete circular plate you will be graduating from 0 to 360 degrees to the fraction of each degree is subdivided into again three parts, that is one division is equal to 20 minutes in the main scale, and the common sizes of diameter are 8 centimeter to 12 centimeter, while 14 centimeter to 20 centimeter instruments are used for triangulation work, that is a more accuracy work. So greater accuracy is achieved with a larger theodolites as they have bigger graduated circle with a larger divisions, hence used where the surveying works require a higher accuracy. Triangulation work is an example of a high degree accuracy surveying works. Yeah, as I said in the initial starting stage, uses of theodolite. So there are a number of uses. So first one, as you know, measuring horizontal and vertical angles. So with the help of theodolite, you can also measure horizontal angles as well as vertical angles. So here, with the compass, you can only calculate or measure the horizontal angles. That too, lower accuracy of around 20 minutes. Whereas with the theodolite, we can also measure vertical angles as well as horizontal angles. That too, a greater accuracy of 20 seconds. Now, locating a points on a line. When a line is provided to you on the ground, let us say AB. Now, on that line, if you want to locate intermediate points, you can do that with the help of a theodolite. Just you need to align the 2 points with the telescope. Then you can move the telescope vertically around the Trunian axis, that is horizontal axis, you will get that points. Similarly, prolonging a survey line, that is if a survey line AB is provided and the prolongation of AB, BC, CD and so on, if you want to carry it out, that can be that can be done with the help of theodolite. There are number of methods again. So finding difference of level. Here difference of levels can also be done with the help of a dumpy level, but that is different and this is different. When the level difference is greater than 4 meters, you have to uh, change the stations every time. But whereas here with the help of theodolite, as a telescope can be rotated in the vertical plane, level difference can be easily calculated with respect when you compare to the dumpy level. And setting out grades, so certain high level, I mean certain grades when it is to be set out, that can be easily done with the help of theodolite. Again, that can be achieved with the telescope can be rotated in a vertical angle. So that's why setting out grades can be calculated easily. Next, ranging curves. So curve setting, there are number of methods. What is a curve? Actually we have a separate topic for this curve setting. The curves are provided for smooth transition of traffic. The curves generally occurs in highways, railways, and even canals and so on. So here curves can be set out using theodolite. There is method called the Rankins theodolite Rankins tangential angles method or deflection angles method, that will anyhow going to discuss in detail in the curves chapter. And tachometric survey. Here tachometric survey, so tachometer or theodolite both are same. A tachometer is nothing but some extra stadia hairs when it is provided in the diaphragm. That same theodolite can also be calculated at tachometer. So in tachometry, you can calculate the horizontal distance as well as the vertical distance without help of a chain or tape. So that can be calculated with respect of tachometer. And tachometer in turn is nothing but a theodolite. So that also comes under the uses of a theodolite. Right. Here are the component parts of a transit vernier theodolite. We'll go from top to bottom. The topmost one is objective end of telescope, and the next, the total part, rectangular box type, is telescope. And then the third one, altitude bubble tube. So here you will be having two bubble tube, altitude bubble tube and plate level bubble tube, that we're going to see. And next, below altitude bubble tube is a vertical clamp screw. It is a screw. By tightening that screw, telescope rotation in the vertical plane can be controlled. If you tighten completely, telescope cannot be rotated, but if you release that, telescope can be rotated in a vertical plane about the horizontal axis. The below that is a Trunnion axis. It is not visible physically actually, but it is a line about which telescope is rotating. So it is also called as a horizontal axis. And below that, it is a vertical circle. So in this picture, it is not looking like a circle, but it is a section of circle. When you see from the left side, it will be appearing like a complete circle, but here it is like a rectangular box, but it is a circle. And in vertical circle also, we will be having two verniers, C and D. And here vertical circle is again divided into quarters, 4 quarters. Each quarter will have 0 to 90 degrees. Anyhow, that we'll be discussing at a later stage. And below that is a eyepiece. So eyepiece is a observer's end. So by looking through eyepiece, you can bisect the object. There will be a diaphragm in between, which will be containing crosshairs. Okay, the next part is plate level. As I told you, this is the plate level or plate bubble tube, and below that is a upper plate. So as we have earlierly discussed, there will be two plates, circular plates, lower plate and upper plate. So in the upper plate we will be having only verniers, vernier A and B. You can see the next part, vernier A slash B. So if you assume that right side is a vernier A, similarly you will get on the other side, that is left side, as vernier B. Both vernier A and B will be situated at a 180-degree intervals. Then the next part below that is a lower plate. So here a complete circle, graduated circle will be provided with the graduations from 0 to 360 degrees. Next we'll have a inner spindle. The inner spindle will be attached to the upper plate, and outer spindle below that will be attached to the lower plate. Next, The next three steps completely together is known as leveling head, where in the leveling head top portion is called as try batch, and in between we'll be having a 3 leveling screws, generally 3, but you can also find 4 leveling screws in some of type of transit vernier purelets. And then the bottom portion of leveling head is called tribet, and this is a complete instrument which will be fixed to the tripod. So again in tripod you will be having 3 legs and tripod head. These are the essential parts. Transit sorry, this is called vertical axis. So it is an imaginary line about which telescope can be rotated in a horizontal plane, and this is one upper plate and this is lower plate. Verniers are provided on the opposite sides. I have said vernier A here and quite opposite, that is at 180 degrees vernier B is provided. These are called inner spindle and outer spindle, right? So this is important. Lower clamp and upper clamp. So these are two clamps. When you clamp, when you fix both clamps, telescope cannot be rotated in horizontal plane. But when you release one of these clamp, telescope can be rotated. But how, when to operate lower clamp and when to operate upper clamp, again it is a more important issue. We'll discuss in the later stages. But here one thing is to be noted: when you release upper clamp, only inner spindle is rotated, that is upper plate is only rotated. But when you release lower clamp, both plates together will rotate. That is to be noted at this stage. The description of a transit vernier theodolite. Transit vernier theodolite essentially consists of the following: leveling head, lower circular plate, upper circular plate, telescope, vernier scales, T-frame, plumb bob, tripod stand, etc. Technical terms actually, not temporary adjustments. First of all, I will discuss about technical terms. What is centering, you might have understood by, and what is transiting. As I told in the initial stages, transiting, transiting is also called as plunging or reversing. But what is transiting? It is a process of turning telescope about horizontal axis through 180 degrees in vertical plane, thus bringing it upside down and making it point exactly opposite direction. Yeah, this is called transiting. So when a theodolite is able to transit, it is called transit theodolite. Otherwise, it is non-transit theodolite. So we'll go to next. Swinging telescope. Yeah, transiting we can achieve by rotating telescope in a vertical plane. Similarly, swinging is just, in simple words, swinging is nothing but rotating in horizontal plane, either clockwise or counterclockwise. Yeah, it means turning the telescope about its vertical axis in the horizontal plane. A swing is called right or left according to telescope. It is rotated clockwise or counterclockwise. When it is rotated clockwise, it is called right swing. When it is rotated in the counterclockwise direction, it is called left swing. Next, another term. What is face left? A face left. So here, when the vertical circle is on the left side of the observer, it is called face left observation. And similarly, we have face right observation. When the vertical circle of the theodolite is on the right side of observer, it is called face right observation. So when you measure a horizontal angle, it is necessary to observe the same angle in face left and face right also, and we have to average finally. There we will get a final reading. So what is the necessity of taking both face left and face right? We'll discuss in detail afterwards. So here face left. If the vertical circle, the instrument is on the left side of the observer, it is while taking the reading, the position is called face left, and the observation taken on horizontal or vertical circle in this position is called a face left observation. Face right. If the vertical circle of the instrument is on the right side of the observer while taking a reading, the position is called face right, and observation taken on the horizontal or vertical circle in this position is known as face right observation. Next, changing phase. Yeah, changing phase. What is changing phase? When you transit a theodolite, automatically you change the phase. Let me understand. Let me give explanation. It is an operation of bringing the vertical circle to the right of the observer if originally it was left and vice versa. So when the observation, initially it was a face left observation, just by transiting the telescope can be rotated 180 degrees about a horizontal plane, sorry, about yeah, horizontal axis in vertical plane. Automatically telescope will be moved to the other end. Telescopes eyepiece can be moved to the other end, and when you observe from there it will be face right also. That is called change phase. It is done in two steps. Firstly, revolve the telescope through 180 degrees in vertical plane, and then rotate it through 180 degrees in the horizontal plane. That is, first to transit the telescope and then swing through 180 degrees. And here is another more important term, line of collimation. Anyhow, this will also comes in a dumpy level also. Line of collimation. Yeah, this is a complete telescope, and here eyepiece. This is a diaphragm wherein crosshairs are provided, and this is a complete objective glass here and end here. So here, line of collimation. It is an imaginary line joining intersection of crosshairs in the diaphragm and optical center of the objective and its continuation. That is called a line of collimation. So you see, it is also known as a line of sight. Yeah, it is an imaginary line joining the intersection of crosshairs of diaphragm to the optical center of the objective glass and its continuation. Yeah, that's it. And again, we have axis of telescope. These two are different terms. Line of collimation is different, and axis of telescope is different. But when the instrument is in the perfect adjustment, these two will merge into a single line. That must be noted. Right, again, so what is an axis of telescope? It is an intersection of optical center of the objective, sorry, optical center of the objective and optical center of the eyepiece. These two, when it is joined, and its continuation is nothing but axis of the telescope. As I said, if the instrument is in the perfect state, both axis of telescope and line of axis should coincide, should be act as a single line only. Yeah, it is also known as imaginary line. No, it is a line, imaginary line joining the optical center of the objective glass to the optical center of the eyepiece, and its continuation also. Okay. Similarly, yeah, next one is vertical axis. So it is an axis about which telescope can be rotated in horizontal plane. It is known as vertical axis. We have seen this in the discussion of spindles and clamps in the earlier slides, right? Similarly, horizontal axis. It is an axis about which telescope can be rotated in vertical plane. It is also called as true line axis. Yeah. Right. This is a most important topic. How to read vernier scale, or how to record a reading. Right. This is an image obtained on either vernier A or vernier B. Right. This is most important because in on the field, while you are taking an reading, this will be displayed or visible to only one person, either your lecturer or some tutor or a student like you. Both at a time you cannot see, as this is a smaller portion. Of course it will be provided with a magnifying glass, but you can only one person, that too with one eye, can be seen through magnifying glass to appear this image. So here only you need to understand well. Right. How, first of all, we'll discuss with the graduations, how it is marked. The bottom one is a main scale. Generally, it is marked with 10 multiples, but here it is shown like 5 multiples, like 10 degrees, 15 degrees, and 20 degrees. But in my institute's instrument, it is given like 10 degrees, and after that you will find hardly 20 degrees. In between, the 15 will not be there, but a longer, when compared to the other, a longer line will be provided in between of 10 and 20. It may be treated as 15. Now we'll look in between. the bottommost 10 and 15. So 10 and 15, in between 10 and 15 readings, there are 4 larger lines compared to the other lines, a little larger one. So that means those will be 11 degrees, 12 degrees, 13 degrees, 14 degrees, and the next is 15 degrees. Similarly, in between 15 and 20, also you'll find a four larger lines. So each line will represent, starting from 15, the next one will be 16, 17, 18, 19, then it must be 20. And again, if you can see from 10 degree and 11 degree, again you will be having a two smaller lines. So that what that smaller line represents, the first one is 10 degrees 20 minutes, and the second smaller line is 10 degrees 40 minutes, and then the next bigger line is 11 degree. So likewise it is graduated. So each division in main scale equal to at least 20 minutes. That's it. And in the similar way, the upper readings are known as Vernier scale readings. In the Vernier scale, it will be marked from 0 to 20, and each line on the Vernier scale will be representing minutes and seconds only, not degrees. Whereas in the main scale, you can find degrees and minutes. Whereas in Vernier scale, it is only about minutes and seconds. And again, divisions are marked with 0, 5, 10, 15, and 20. Again, you can find from 0 to 5, there are 4 bigger lines. Each one represents, let us say, we'll start with the 0. 0. The next to 0 is 1 minute. Similarly, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and 5 minutes. And again, from 0 minute to 1 minute, there are 2 smaller lines. So first smaller line will indicate 0 degrees, 0 minutes and 20 seconds. Next smaller line immediate beside that one is 0 minutes and 40 seconds, and the next is 1 minute, and followed by 1 minute 20 seconds, 1 minute 40 seconds, 2 minutes, and 2 minutes 20 seconds, 2 minutes 40 seconds, 3 minutes, and so on. That is the criteria. Now you have understood how main scale is divided and how Vernier scale is divided. Now how to record a reading. So here reading will have two portions, main scale reading and Vernier scale reading. When you add those two, you will get a final reading. So here, based on a 0 mark of Vernier scale, it is lying in between 10 degree 20 minutes and 10 degree 40 minutes. So main scale reading will be 10 degrees 20 minutes plus something. That something will be given in the Vernier scale. Okay. So main scale reading is 10 degrees 20 minutes. Now coming to Vernier scale reading. So here you have to look for the coincidence, Vernier's coincidence. That means when you observe these lines, the one line, only one line of Vernier scale will be exactly matching with the bottom main scale. So here in the picture, it is marked with Y. So that line is exactly in line with the main scale. So that is recorded as a Vernier scale reading. So it will be 5. After 5, there are two larger lines, and then third larger line is a Y. So third larger line will be 5 degrees, 6 degrees, 7 degrees, 8 degrees. So here 8 degrees and 0 seconds is a Vernier scale reading. And before that we have a main scale reading 10 degrees and 20 minutes. So total reading will be 10 degrees 28 minutes 00 seconds. So this is how we'll record a Vernier scale reading. This is most important. Fundamental axes of theodolite and their relationships. So here there are some lines which are called fundamental lines or fundamental axes of a theodolite. They are number 1 vertical axis, number 2 axis of plate level, number 3 line of collimation, number 4 horizontal axis or Trunnion axis, and number 5 altitude bubble or telescopic level axis and axis of telescope. Fundamental lines of theodolite: vertical axis, axis of plate level, line of collimation, horizontal axis, axis of altitude bubble, and axis of telescope. And there is a desired relationship among these axes. Number 1, Axis of plate level must be perpendicular to the vertical axis. Number 2, line of collimation should coincide with the optical axis of telescope and should be perpendicular to the vertical axis. Number 3, horizontal axis or tune axis must be perpendicular to the vertical axis. Number 4, line of collimation should be at right angles to the horizontal axis. Number 5, vertical axis should read 0 when the line of collimation is horizontal. Yeah. Yeah, loosen the upper clamp and turn the telescope clockwise until the line of sight bisects B on the right side. Then tighten the upper clamp and bisect it accurately by turning it tangentially. Next, read both verniers. The reading of the vernier A, this must be capital A. Reading A, which was initially set at 0, gives the value of angle AOB directly, and that of the vernier B by deducting 180 degrees. Yeah. As I initially told you, both A and B both verniers are placed exactly opposite to each other, that is 180 degrees distant from each other. So vernier angle, sorry, angle at vernier B will always be 180 more than the actual reading. So that is why we will have to deduct 180 degrees to get the actual reading. The mean of these two readings will have a angle AOB, but this is not done yet. We have done with the face left only. Again we must repeat this process, entire process with the face right also. Then we need to average those face right left and face right observation to get the final horizontal angle. This is a lengthy one. And next we have iteration method. This method is another precise and comparatively less tedious method of measuring horizontal angles, and it is generally preferred when several angles to be measured at a particular station, as I already told you. So this method consists of measuring several angles successively and finally closing the origin at the starting point. The final reading of angle, say A, should be same as initial reading. If it is not there, then distribute that error equally among the all angles. That should be done. Okay. If not, the discrepancy is equally distributed among all measured angles. Procedure. Suppose if it is required to obtain, to measure the angles AOB, BOC and COD, then to measure these angles by reiteration method, this is written wrongly, reiteration method, set up the instrument over the station A and level it accurately, not level, you complete all temperature adjustments accurately. Direct the telescope towards A, which is known as a reference point, bisect it accurately, check the reading of vernier A as it must be 0 or 360 degrees, loosen the lower clamp and turn the telescope clockwise. No, not loosen the lower clamp. Now you have to loosen the upper clamp and turn the telescope to the right side of B, sorry, to side B exactly. Read verniers, both verniers, and record them in your tabular form. The mean reading will give the value of AOB. Okay. Similarly, bisect to C and D successively. Read both verniers. Finally, close the origin by sighting towards the reference point. Now, the vernier A should now read exactly 360 degrees. If it is not, then note down this error. This error occurs due to slip, and this error is to be distributed equally among several angles. If large, the reading should be discarded. Okay, if this error is abnormal, let us say some 30 degrees, you have to just discard and start afresh. Otherwise, if it is a very small, let us say 1 degree or so, you can divide it into, distribute it into all the angles. Yes, right. Yeah. If angle A is separately calculated as alpha and angle B is separately calculated as beta, then the angle between point A and B directly, in the first case, it will be sum of these two angles, alpha plus beta. Whereas here, if both are angle of elevations, then the angle AOB is nothing but, actually alpha is the total vertical angle up to A and beta is the vertical angle up to B. Then angle AOB is nothing but alpha minus beta here. Similarly here, so for A it is the total angle with respect to horizontal line, that is alpha, and for B up to B this is beta, and to get AOB difference line and difference angle, you must be calculating alpha minus beta here. That is the point. For measuring angle, vertical angle between 2 points A and B, sight A as before and take the mean of two verniers readings at vernier circle, let it be alpha. Similarly, sight to B and take the mean of two verniers readings at a vertical circle, let it be beta. The sum or the difference of these readings actually will give the value of vertical angle between A and B according as one of point is above or and the other is below a horizontal plane, or both points are on the above or both points are below as shown in the previous slide. So right. Right, it is enough for now. We'll just rewind whatever we have learned so far from the starting.